How do you find love? How do you find that one person that brings you untold joy and happiness? What do you need to do? Can you attract a person like that into your life? What are the steps to do that? Also, too, what do you need to go through? Do you need to like yourself? Do you need to know what you want? What are all these things to make relationships work? Let's find out as we work through the art of relationshiping.
Welcome to Share.care, an all-inclusive community sharing experience, strength, and hope to create strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships. Share.care communities work toward every individual feeling safe, valued, and heard, free from the threat of danger, pain, or harm. Each episode, founder Damian Andrews explores the principles underpinning Share.care and invites expert special guests to share their knowledge so you can easily reap the benefits so many others experience. You hold the choice to create your future. Let it be with strong, healthy, and inspiring relationships.
Hello and welcome to the Share.care podcast. Our belief is that global peace starts at home. Feeling safe, valued, and heard gives you a foundation to confidently step out and make the world a happier and safer place for everyone. Because in today's world, it's in your own selfish best interest to help others. And today, it is my very great pleasure to welcome Michelle Hoffmann. Now, Michelle is a life master and a relationship coach. She teaches the art of relationshiping, and she's helping people improve their relationship skills to live their lives the way they've always desired. Michelle is also a two-time international best-selling author on love, personal and professional relationships. Whether it is in a relationship with your inner voice, intimate partner, family, community, career, colleagues, or customers, her clients know how to attract, keep, and enjoy the right relationships in their lives. Welcome, Michelle. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Damian. It's so nice to be here. Thank you.
It's my honor to be here. And we were having a great discussion before I hit record, but I won't get into too much of that and spoil it for the audience. But what I do want to do, let's jump in the Wayback Machine. You know, the Doc Brown DeLorean, and let's hit 88 miles an hour and go back in time. Hopefully not meet our mother and our grandmother. And do you want to just go back and talk about some of the challenges that you had in your life that you had to overcome and helped you lead you to what you're doing now?
Well, if we're going into the Wayback Machine, I think we might start with a family custom that we had when I was a kid. And even now, you might have done something similar in your life. On your birthday,
Yeah.
does your family make a cake, put a candle in it, sing a song, and at some point, you're invited to close your eyes, make a wish, and blow out the candle?
And not touch the bottom of the cake when you cut it. Yes.
Not touch the bottom of the cake when you cut it is a new one for me.
Yeah,
So do you
apparently if you're
remember?
making the wish and you actually touch the bottom before you finish making the wish, it'll spoil the wish.
Oh,
You've got
wow,
to finish the wish before you touch the bottom of the plate or the whatever.
very good.
Yeah.
So do you remember any of your wishes?
Oh, good question. Good question. Not off the top of my head, no. I think I wished for a truck once, and then when we had my birthday party, my friend stole it, and I got really upset and cried. I remember that.
Truck gained, truck lost.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a little bit like my story, actually.
Well, do tell.
Yeah, so I've asked this question, and frequent answers are: I wanted a bike, I wanted a dog, I wanted all the chocolate in the world. I wanted to be, a crime scene investigator. I thought was an interesting one. I know, right? I always wanted to be in the most amazing relationship, partnership. Since I was little, it was really all I wanted. What I've learned now is people who've known me through my life, they're still saying, "You've been doing this your whole life." I'm like, well, I didn't know it was a job until now. But so really all I wanted was to be in a healthy, happy, loving relationship And it took a little longer than I thought, but I
Right.
did find this person.
Yeah.
And in a workshop recently, someone asked, do you believe in love at first sight?
Mm.
And I said, I absolutely do. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to find what you're looking for when you know what you're looking for, though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I knew what I was looking for. He knew what he was looking for. We met on a cruise. My cousin and I had this big idea to go on a cruise. We were
Yeah.
put at the wrong dinner table, at the wrong dinner seating, at the wrong everything with these two guys.
Oh.
And by the end of the meal, what I learned later was that he had decided that I'm the one for him.
Wow.
So he figured it out
Wow.
very quickly.
Did
It
you?
took me a
Was
little
it?
bit longer,
Yeah. Awesome.
little longer.
Yeah.
On the dance floor that evening, he was brazen enough to kiss me. I did what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. I laughed. Of course,
Wow.
it's not what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. But he was brazen enough again to say, "What's so funny?" And I just said, "My whole world has changed.
Yeah.
My life was going down the track this way, and now it's going toward you." And
Wow.
that's what every man dreams of when he kisses a woman. So
Yeah.
we really understood very quickly that we were both in this relationship with the right intentions. And I mean, I can say now, I can formulate, high level. I didn't really know it then with this precision, but we were at a very similar point in the lifeline of our relationship arc, I call it, of where
Yeah.
you're at in life and what you want for the rest of your life. Our core values were complementary to one another, and that's how you make decisions in your life. And then our
Mm.
priorities were also the same in alignment: faith, family, finance, career, sense of adventure, what we
Mm.
value, those kinds of things, intellect, the way that we spend our time, the types of food we choose to eat. So, those types of things.
Mm.
So, in that order, things were in alignment.
Yeah.
And it was just easy and fun. And people still talk about this relationship that we had built together. And they said when one of us would walk into the room or even talk about the other, like the whole room would brighten and lighten up, and you could
I love
just see
that.
it from miles away. And we built a family together, and we built a life together, and we built a home together.
Mm.
And it was not showy, but it was perfect
Yeah.
until he died.
Yeah. That's it.
And that left me head of household,
Mm.
sole parent, and you guessed it, single.
Yeah.
And I really did not know what to do
Mm.
because we don't really have, there's no guide. Well, there is a guide for this now because I wrote it, but there was no guide for this. There's developmental phases in life,
Yeah.
and there's some sort of idea of here's about what's going to happen when
Mm.
what to expect when you're expecting,
Yeah.
what to expect when you have a toddler, what to expect
Yeah.
when you're going through puberty and those teenage years. We have an idea from our peers,
Yeah.
but we don't necessarily have, a real laid out plan for how do
Mm.
you get through huge life changes, be it
Yeah.
loss, trauma, PTSD, the change of where you're geographically living, you're inviting new members of your family in, losing them, whatever it is. We don't always have the guide to help make that transition and know where to make the next step, to have a clear, well lit path, to know how to fulfill the rest of your life. In my mind, the pain was so terrible. I wondered if I could ever love again.
Mm.
And because I mean, it was everything. We
Yeah.
were nothing alike, but everything in common. And how could I find that again? I was a different person. I had baggage because I have kids and a dead guy. And you know?
Wow.
What, so there's nothing glamorous about it, but I felt like my landscape of my future was scorched. And
Yeah.
grief is complicated and it's
Mm.
ambiguous and it blurs your vision when you're trying to drive or when you're going to try and get something done.
Mm.
Grief slams your head against the wall, drops you to the kitchen floor, puts its foot on your neck, and prevents you from breathing or seeing your future.
Wow. Yeah.
And there was no easy path forward.
Mm.
But I realized at one point that, curling up in a fetal position and soaking the pillow with tears and then rolling over to the other side, lather, rinse, repeat, was no way to live the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it was not helping my children live theirs.
Mm.
So I used all of my previous life experience and figured it out. I put
Mm.
together 7 steps to rebuild your life, to live life fully
Mm.
after a huge life change. And then a friend of mine who I used to go running with went out for a run, had a heart attack, and died. And I thought,
Oh my God.
you.
Yeah.
And then I realized, as you know, I do know what to do, and I
Mm.
couldn't do nothing. So I went to his widow and said, this is never going to be okay. I'm going to hold your hand and walk this journey with you.
Yeah.
And I helped guide her with the steps that I had put together for myself and my kids.
Mm.
And it addresses the big aspects of life.
Yeah.
And then my whole community was like, can you go help them? Help them, help them. I'm like, I need like 2 jobs right now. And
Yeah.
everyone said, this is your job.
Right.
Really? This is my job?
Mm.
And I realized I did need to write this guide before I got a job.
Yeah.
So I wrote Life Worth Living, a
Mm.
practical and compassionate guide to navigating widowhood and soul parenting.
Mm.
It became an international bestseller.
Yeah.
People were reaching out to me from all over the world to help them through it.
Yeah.
And I realized it wasn't just for widows and widowers.
Mm.
It was for everyone going through or ready to make a shift in their life to a new developmental phase of life.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about this.
Mm.
So that's how this part of my journey began, to
Mm.
be a life coach and helping people really live life fully, to
Mhm.
make life worth living. What's transpired since then is, what does everybody really want, as you pointed out,
Mm.
is to be seen and heard
Mm.
and valued. And we all want this connection. And
Mm.
so my focus
Yeah.
has been to help people attract and navigate and enjoy not
Mm.
only the intimate relationships in their lives, but all of the relationships in their lives. And that's how I started the art of relationshiping.
Wow. What an amazing story. Can we talk about a little bit on that? I want to go back to you were talking about your wish was to have a good relationship, or you said an amazing relationship, if I wrote that down correctly.
Yep.
And so when you were thinking about that before that point, because you wanted, an amazing relationship, and then you're on this cruise, and you mentioned you were going down this one path, but then you've met this guy who was quite brazen, giving you a snog on the dance floor, which you've laughed at.
Yep.
Um, and then, but there's obviously in the laughing of that is you're going, okay, my life is different. But was that so? How was that different? You had this you always wanted this relationship. Was that path? But now it's a different relationship, or was it just the fact that you weren't expecting to meet someone on the cruise?
Well, I think when you're looking for your partner, they say, oh, when you least expect it, it'll happen. No way. I woke up every morning expecting, where is he? So I wouldn't say when you least expect it.
Yeah.
I think not I think, I can say with confidence. In fact, I was just teaching my group class.
Mm.
Um, there's some things that need to happen to become relationship ready. And when you've cleared everything to know that you have an understanding of who you are in the world and what you want for the rest of your one precious life, and you know how to invite the right person in and identify that person to walk that journey with you so that it elevates both of you, that's when you know. So what your question was, what shifted in the kiss, I think, is that the question?
Yeah, you would take
I
that.
was
That'll do.
okay. So I was very focused on a successful career path.
Mhm.
And yes, of course, I wanted this partner. I'd been dreaming of him. I had been imagining him.
Mm.
All the things, the rules, the matchmaker, all the things that, people think they're supposed to do to invite love, the right love into their lives.
Mm.
And I would see other people and be envious. What do those people walking on the beach holding hands have that I don't have? Am
Yeah.
I old to not the right shape, not the right social class, not rich enough, not thin enough, not young enough, not pretty enough, not smart enough? What is it what was wrong with me that I couldn't find this person? And it's actually none of those things.
Mm.
It's really understanding the messages that you're sending out are reflected
Mm.
back in what you're getting.
Yeah, I love that.
So when I hadn't really thought about this with such clarity, when he kissed me,
Yeah.
and as I mentioned,
Yeah.
hindsight, I understood later, he knew I had checked all the boxes. I
Yeah.
was everything he was looking for in a partner.
Yeah.
And just being me, just exactly what this is, all of this.
Yeah.
And that I understood in his kiss.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm so focused on growing my career and, all the other aspects of my life,
Mm.
I wasn't really making room to invite someone in my intimate life.
Mm.
I wasn't aware of that at the time, but I could tell. So that was the track I was on, was a professional track.
Yeah.
When in that kiss, what I understood was, oh, it's you. And sometimes we used to talk about, maybe I don't really know what happens before or after this life, but sometimes we enjoyed discussing, well, maybe we were meant to be together, soulmates.
Mm.
And so it was in the kiss that we understood that.
Yeah.
Who knows? I can't answer those questions. I can only answer for this existence. But it was, it's fun to play that game.
Wow.
So in his kiss, I understood his intention
Yeah.
was so clean and so present. And he was nothing like I thought I was looking for.
Mm.
But in fact, as I mentioned to you, the trio of things that you really need to look for were in place. We
Yeah.
were at the same point in our life at an intersection that was similar for what we wanted for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Our core values completely lined up.
Mm.
And then all the other things that we got to enjoy with each other. So in his kiss, I understood, this is someone who is seeing me for me. And we had a week on this cruise to get to know one another. So we didn't have to worry about money or setting up dates so here I am. I'm certainly, making a statement for go on a cruise to find your person. There's plenty of ways to find your person. But that was the shift.
Mm.
It was understanding you are the one for me, and he was the one who was doing it. You're the one for me, and he knew how to show me I was the one for him. And so that worked beautifully. But you really need to figure out what's holding you back,
Mm-hmm.
why you're not finding that person.
Yeah.
Because they say there's a lid to every pot, but the pot needs to be prepared for the lid. We need a better metaphor than that, but you get my point.
I think from what I heard you were saying there, that you mentioned earlier, the things that need to happen for you to be relationship ready. And I'm linking that to it's coming week where we're talking about, you had core values, and we'll get into that a bit later. But this part about being relationship ready, the things you need to be relationship ready. Because what I'm reading into that is that,
Mm.
you know, when you love someone, you love them for who they are. But if you're
Exactly.
not who you are, then how can someone love you? Yeah, is that where you're getting to with that? That you were
That's
in the
perfect.
space where you were relationship ready as far as the core values go, and therefore that's what was basically transcended, if that's the right word, or reflected in that kiss. It was like he recognized, or you felt he recognized you for who you are, but you could only do that because you are who you are.
Yes, that was perfectly stated. So I think one of the bigger,
Yay.
yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Stop, smiley face. Um, so I think the biggest mistake people make when
Mm,
they're looking to invite, particularly an intimate relationship, but it could be any relationship, into their lives, is that we have a tendency to want everyone to like us. And so we'll look everywhere else and go, well, I want to be like them because that looks like it's going to work for them. So then we try to change who we are so that
yeah,
we are the sparkly, attractive object. So, in my practice, someone has talked about this little monster, and he
yeah,
named it Fobu. And
yeah,
Fobu is a little monster, must be adorable, or we wouldn't let it stay there, that lives just outside your head.
yeah.
And Fobu encourages you to behave a certain way
Mm.
based on what you think other people might be thinking.
Okay,
So
yeah.
it's not the truth.
Mm.
You're just trying to fit in
Projection in a
culture.
sense.
Yeah. But you can't please everyone. It's impossible.
Hmm.
So my mom said to me once when I was trying to please everybody,
Mm.
she says, "Oh, Michelle, where are your Wonder Woman cuffs and shield?"
I love that.
Thanks. Then she bought me bracelets.
Oh,
So
love
in
it.
reality, she said, do what's right for you and your family
Hmm.
because you can't please everyone else.
Yeah.
So it's the same message of, rather than trying to be someone that you're not or
Mm.
trying to please everyone so that everyone will like you,
Mm.
that's the people who like you will be attracted to you being you.
Mm.
And the others, they're busy doing something else anyway. So
Yeah.
don't worry about them. But so FOBU is something that encourages you to behave in a way that is not authentic to who you are, but it's based on what you think others might be thinking. And we go through life doing this.
Mhm.
They're probably thinking about what they want for lunch, but you're like, oh, superimposing a judgment on yourself. So you sit up straight, you hold in your stomach, you try to be something that you're not, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Uh, so we do that
Mm.
thinking that more people will like us and we
Yeah.
will attract more. But actually, we're not attracting all of the right people.
No.
And so that's where things go awry
Yeah.
because you might be in a great relationship with someone you think is a great relationship, but when they find out who you truly are, they'll go, wait a second, I thought you were something different. And you're
Mm.
like, huh? But in fact, you were representing yourself not intentionally, but
Mhm.
inaccurately because that's who you were trying to attract in to be more appealing or more likable.
Mm.
Biggest reason that relationships shift out of alignment is that someone feels or is made to feel that they are not enough. And that
Okay.
happens very easily when you haven't presented yourself as who you truly are,
Right.
because it puts the other person in a position of expecting something different.
Mm. Can we, like, when you're talking about that, expecting something different or being the right person, and wanting to be that right person, because I hear a lot when people break up, and particularly from a women's side of things, they talk about he was a great father and a great provider, but not a great husband. I've known a number of people to say that, but I'm just wondering, was that the focus at the time of being in the starting the relationship, was they were looking for that great provider and someone who would be a great dad, but not focusing on someone that might be a great husband? Or, I mean, and from that, that was what they were putting out because that's what they were looking for. So I just wonder how that fits into the picture.
Okay, so that's a very specific
Mm.
scenario.
Yeah.
We don't always get the luxury of
Mm.
being able to, I mean, the people who are looking to invite love in don't feel that it's a luxury, but
Mm.
in some ways it is because you get to set the foundation from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But if you're in a situation or a relationship wherein you have attracted someone who is a good provider and who is a good parent, but you're not feeling like the connection between the partnership is in
Mm.
a, is that
Yeah.
the scenario
Yeah.
you set?
I think that's what, yes, correct. Yeah.
So what happens there is to figure out, again, if you're in the luxurious position of being able to start the foundation from scratch,
Mm.
as I was saying, in the lifeline of your relationship arc, it's not necessarily chronological age, but
Mm.
it's what do you want in life?
Mm.
And that could be, I want to build a career, I want to build a family, I want to build
Mm.
a partnership or a companion to go through time with. And that changes
Yeah.
as life moves forward. So it could be that you were in the right relationship with the right person at the right time who was
Mm.
a good provider, who is a good parent.
Mm.
But the piece that was missing, I would imagine in that situation, there'd be core values out of
Yeah.
alignment
From what I could
and
tell,
or
that
they've
was,
changed,
yeah.
which is it's real.
Mm.
I actually don't think there's anything wrong with this.
Mm.
The situation that you've presented to me sounds to me like a should I stay or should I go scenario. And if it's the should I stay
Mm.
scenario, then what I would do is I would help realign those two people and
Mm.
see how to, reassess the foundation based on who they are now,
Yeah.
because they are not the same people that they were when they
Yeah.
met before they had a family.
Yeah.
It's a very different
Yeah.
set of parameters. And
Yeah.
people mistake that, and
Mm.
they'll often look for someone who they thought would be appropriate decades prior.
Mhm.
But you're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
So you can do that. It would thrust you into what I call the chemistry phase of a relationship, and staying in that is very exciting.
Mm.
But it doesn't give you the stability of long-term endurance of a relationship with a person who will have your back, who will go through time, who will stand up for you, who will pillow talk with you, who
Yeah.
will go, all through with you. So that's and I'll talk about all relationship cycles in just a moment.
Mm.
So if you're in the should I stay
Mm.
camp,
Mm.
then I would say to reevaluate where you're at and find out what's going to make this relationship exciting as a partnership. As a partnership with
Mm.
who you are now and what do you want from life and the values that you bring to the relationship,
Mm.
because oftentimes people will put in other categories of, oh well, I have money and they don't, or whatever, faith, family, finances, intellect, whatever they're bringing to the table, but each person brings a value, and that's what makes the relationship so solid.
Yeah.
And it could be that there's parallel strengths, or it could be that you specialize, but there's understanding the unique qualities of each other and
Mm.
lifting those up. If it's a should I go situation, then I would help those two people understand what they valued from the relationship as they had it together.
Mm.
Just this is how we move through grief, how we move through trauma, how we move through the loss of a relationship the way we thought it should have been.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're on the heels of heartbreak in that type of situation, it's valuable to identify what does that experience or that grief hold for you
Mhm.
that you treasure, and then honor it so that it doesn't have a hold on you. Rather, it will help move you forward. So again, I was just on a call with a client, and she says that her ex-husband's actually a really good parent,
Yeah.
and she trusts him with their children. But their relationship, it's pretty much the situation that you were just presenting. Their
Mm.
relationship had changed to the point where they needed something different in a partner. So they divorced, and she hired me because she's competitive and wanted a partner, and her ex-husband had a girlfriend. So initially she was
Never heard of
saying,
that happening before. Rolling my eyes for those who are listening.
yeah, I got you. She was saying she was in the unenviable position of, and boy, she was not thrilled about this woman initially. However, once we started to work together, and this is a good time to present this, I shared with her, all relationships follow the same cycle, from chemistry to casual to committed.
Yeah.
And it took her a while to understand this. For her, I needed to start with professional relationships.
Yeah.
But let me explain. It's easier to explain with personal and intimate relationships. So when you meet someone, like at the wrong dinner table, at the wrong seating on the cruise, there's the law of attraction that brings you together, and it's very exciting. And then later on the dance floor, right? And
I'm laughing because I've done that.
that's awesome. I'm proud of you.
I'm pretty brazen.
That's good. I like that about you. So it's this, excuse me, it's the law of attraction that literally brings two cells together, two entities, two bodies, two people. Could be two organizations. It could be an individual with an organization if they're getting a job on the professional front. But like I said, I'll just stick here. As you come together, what happens is your chemistry literally changes. It's very exciting. You get this endorphin rush, there's serotonin is flowing, the oxytocin is just gushing, and that's the hormone that inspires you to reach out. They call it the cuddle drug, or the love hormone, because it encourages you to reach out and connect. So as you're connecting, you're getting these dopamine hits. It's like, this is fantastic. It's the euphoria of eating too much chocolate. And it's like, I want more. I want more.
Yeah.
And so as you go through this, you're like walking on air. It's like cotton candy, people tell me. And it's like, did I remember to put my shoes on? And then when your phone dings, you're like, oh, you're hoping you get a dopamine hit again, hoping that your person is reaching out for you because it's like so exciting.
Yeah.
As you go through that, you naturally flow into the casual phase of a relationship. The casual phase is also very exciting because as mammals, we like to be able to anticipate something that we can look forward to. And when you know that something good is going to happen, it could be another great kiss. It could be going to a restaurant and, getting your favorite meal and knowing that you're going to enjoy that. It could be listening to your favorite song and being able to anticipate what's going to happen in the music and to go along with it. It's so comforting and exciting and reassuring. And this is the beautiful aspect of the casual phase of a relationship. There's another thing that happens in the casual phase, and this is where we see potential deal breakers, the red flags going up of, oh, this is not the right fit at all. I didn't see this coming. Or the yellow flags, I call them. This is where you might need to have some clarity and ask some questions or do a little double checking and going, and reconnecting and having great communication skills to ensure you're on the same page. And if there's a green light, go, because you are on the same page and you go, ooh, this is a good thing. I want to keep this going. That puts you into the committed stage of a relationship, which happens like that. It's really the agreement between two people or an organization hiring a new employee, whatever it is, that then catapults you forward into the chemistry phase again in a slightly different role. So it's actually a spiral, this relationship from chemistry to casual to committed. So in the story that I was sharing with you of my client who really wasn't understanding, she was in the unenviable position, she said, that her ex-husband has a girlfriend and they're moving in together and she's single. She's not understanding how relationships work at all because she's feeling this was a very failed relationship, even though she has changed her mind about that after working together. So I started with a place that she was comfortable. So meet them where they're at. And that was in her professional life.
Yeah.
And she needed to hire an administrative assistant. She has her own business.
Yeah.
And she was just devastated because the person she had in place on a Friday afternoon, she says, "How is everything? Everything's great." And then they left a letter of resignation. So that's like a breakup letter,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah,
ghosted. Oof. So she couldn't believe it because she thought everything was going beautifully.
Yeah.
And so she comes to me, she says, "Michelle, I knew you're the only person who I could actually talk to with, and you'd help, lick my wounds." And then I always ask, "Would you like me to listen, guide, or help?"
Yeah.
And that she
fantastic.
said, "You'd help me through it."
Yeah.
Right? So oftentimes people will say, "Just listen." That's holding safe space for them to slow their thoughts down enough to
Yeah.
get them out. Sometimes when you hear them, you can go, I know what to do now.
Yeah.
Up-leveling that to guide. I do this with my teenagers, works beautifully.
We'll do a
And
parenting show later.
yeah, well, that's part of the parenting aspect of things, isn't it? I actually am teaching the art of relationshiping to high schoolers now. So fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So guide would be they're giving me an opportunity to share my suggestion and ideas, knowing full well they're going to do what's right for them. But thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to share some other perspectives. And then help means I actually need you to come in and participate with me.
Yeah, okay.
So in this case, she said help because I have recruited, hired, and trained and helped the career of hundreds, thousands of people through the decades, because that's what I was doing before this. Yeah. And so, she's like, I said, "Here's the parallel. Show me the resumes you're looking at." And we picked the top 3. And I said, "It's this person." And she says, "Well, how do you know?" I said, look at this person's resume." And I said, "It's very much like a personal profile. Your resume is your personal profile, but your professional profile to help connect you with the right opportunity in the right organization.
Yeah.
Your personal profile, so not just an online profile, but understanding who you truly are at this point in your life.
Yeah.
Gives you an idea of who is an appropriate person to invite in.
Yeah.
People miss this entirely. So key, so simple. We all understand the CV or the resume and its goals. The personal profile is very similar. Yeah. So we got on the phone. We did an interview with this person. I know my client, so I cleared some potential challenges they may have in the future. They've been working together now for years, very happily.
Yeah.
She says, "Okay, I get it now. I get this, the professional relationships go from chemistry to casual to committed. How does that work with personal relationships?" I'm like, "It's exactly the same. Watch." So there were a couple of things she needed to clear, some of which included her attitude toward her relationship with her ex-husband and his new partner.
Yeah.
And what she understood is that the relationship in the chapter of their life that they shared together was actually quite perfect. He was, as you were saying, a wonderful provider. She too was a provider. Together, they co-parented beautifully, but they grew to a point where they were no longer the right fit for one another.
Yeah.
So they've divorced, and she's now acknowledging them and the new girlfriend to be the right people for one another.
Yeah.
When she realized she not only didn't have a safety net, but didn't need one, took 1, 2, 3 days for Mr. Right to show up. 3 days.
Yeah.
we had to get her to the point where she is truly relationship ready. And I have, a whole process for that,
Yeah.
but she's truly relationship ready. And he showed up so quickly. I mean, maybe those, 3 days might have been really hard, but she
Well,
was, he
I'm,
showed up and she knew, and he knew, and they are so happy together, so happy together.
I'm a big believer that change happens in an instant. It's the preparing to change that you've actually got to overcome, and that personal responsibility of letting go. That's the part that takes time. As soon as you can do that, things just
Well, it's
happen really
hard.
fast.
It's hard to let go of what you know. That's
Mm,
comfortable. And your brain knew that it was keeping you alive doing all those things before. Well, we will stay alive if we do that again. So you're right. It is hard to let go of what you know, especially when you don't know what's up ahead.
Well,
But
that's
when
the
you,
point I was going to get to. Is it hard because we are so attached to this and we're holding that onto security, and we've trained ourselves out of looking to the future and going, hey, there's a whole list of wonderful things out there. So we're really isolated. Is that what makes it hard, do you think? Because I wonder about that.
so if you got a ticket for a train ride and you got on the train and you didn't know where you were going,
Mm.
it's both terrifying and exciting.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the question I'm getting to. When you're not clear about where you're going or who you are, that's what
Right.
makes that change hard. But as soon as you're clear about who you are and where you're going, all of a sudden it's easy.
Journey becomes very fun. And you could stop at every train station and
Mm,
go, is this the place I'd like to be at? What's so great about this? What can I learn here? And I'm just going to like
mm,
shove this into the dating world and go, oh my God, I could choose. I'll give you a real life example. One of my clients moved to a new city,
mm,
and what a great opportunity to go utilize the online dating world in a safe way to find people who she could really connect with and have these people introduce her to her new location.
mm.
So she had people showing her new
Her
town,
own tour
new
guides.
restaurants. Yeah.
I love
And it
it.
was so fun. She met the most incredible people and she had a wonderful time making new friends. She didn't have to think, oh my God, may I ride off into the sunset with them
Mm,
forever? Let's
yeah,
just connect. I mean, and when she wasn't so invested in the outcome,
yeah,
then she had a wonderful time in every date that she had. It was so much fun for her.
cool.
Plus, she learned about her new town, her new area, and
Yeah,
all the highlights, and by people who were great tour guides, as you said.
yeah.
And she did find her person that way and
That's
met a
awesome.
whole bunch of people along the journey. So it could be drudgery and it could be devastating and demeaning and just give you the feeling like, oh God, are there any good ones left? Or you can change your perspective on it and just go, oh my God, this is fun. I get to meet this very fascinating person. But you need the steps to get to, this is going to be a person that I enjoy. I want to go out to this place. Do you want to go? And you can be my companion to go there. And you'd be an appropriate companion to go there. Um, but it's having fun along that journey that
Mm,
makes the difference. And it shows because people want to be with someone who's happy and who is curious, a curious detective, and who wants to know about them.
yeah.
And it's like, go and find out what makes these people tick, what's inspiring, what are their skills. You might be, in a private airplane somewhere or touring their business, or they're going to show you who they
Mm,
are, and you can do the same. It can be like the best experience ever. Too often, people deal with the Thatcher effect. I'll
Thatcher
give you an
effect.
idea of what this is. The Thatcher effect is if you can only see half my face,
Yeah.
your brilliant brain is trying to figure out what the other half looks like.
Okay.
So you're going to feel more comfortable when I'm here and you go, okay, she's kind of who I thought she was going to look like.
Yeah.
To translate that to a dating experience, what happens oftentimes is we'll connect with someone and we future cast what the possibilities could be and what they're going to look like and act like, and they're going to fulfill your every dream and whim, wish, and desire. And and then you walk into, the coffee shop or the restaurant, and you look everywhere for them, and you connect eyes, and you go, you are not at all who I thought you were going to be.
Yeah.
And the music goes.
Exactly. Check, please.
Yeah. That's another example.
I haven't ordered anything yet. I'm just getting out of it.
I go. But okay, I would never encourage that. I'd say go a little deeper, find out, but do some open-ended questions and share some experiences together to see what really makes them go a little deeper than that. But it's that, setting an expectation, whereas none of us can actually be that glossy all the time. So if you
try.
can try, but at some
it wears
point,
out. It does wear out.
Everybody farts, Damien. Just get to the truth.
Yeah. That was funny because sometimes I record this and my son sits near me, and he was playing computer game sitting near me while I was recording one show. And then after I finished recording, he just let go and he goes, I've been holding that for half an hour.
What a good kid.
I know that's not to do with relationship. What it is, it's my relationship with my son, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, he was being respectful of what you were doing, but it's also, if he had done that, you would have been like,
exactly.
And that's a truism also, because, misrepresenting yourself or not knowing who you truly are. I have a client, we were talking about archetypes of who are you? And I do an exercise with roles of who did you used to be? Who are you now? And who do you like to step into becoming? And the who is she now, she was having a hard time with. She kept talking more about who she used to be.
Yeah.
She was a flight attendant. She was adventurous. She was this, she was that. And, she was a scholar, but she didn't want to mention that she was a dog breeder.
Really?
So by not mentioning it, it appeared as if she were hiding something.
Yeah.
And so when I asked her about it, she said, well, I didn't think someone would like me because I breed dogs. And it's like, the person who's going to like you is going to think that's amazing.
Correct, yeah.
And so she had to overcome what she thought other people might be thinking. Hello, Fobu. So she was hiding this aspect of herself. But when she could bring it forward, she was a lot more comfortable with who she is, and she didn't appear as if she was hiding something. So that's an example of that. But yeah, I think it's good. You would have appeared as if you were hiding something when you were P.U., but you're good.
Well, I've been through some extreme things. I probably would have done it reasonably well, I think. But I want to come back to what you were talking about with the relationship and looking for relationships, because people, like you say, there's a bit of some people have that perception. There's a bit of drudgery out there. It's like, oh my God, I got to do. There's no good ones left. All that kind of thing. How does that affect someone when they're trying to meet them? I mean, wouldn't that have wouldn't that lessen the chance? And also wouldn't it filter what you see as well? You might see, because you think it's a drudgery and there are no good ones out there, there could be a good one right in front of your face, and you might just completely ignore it. How does that affect people?
Yeah, you don't want to let them pass you by. So this is what goes through your head every time you see an opportunity, either online or organically in the wild, in real life.
Yeah.
It's really about teaching someone how to be the selection process. I'll tell you a secret. The first thing I do when I'm helping someone, first we need just to get our ego boosted, like we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
So it's just open the playing field. And see, you can get hundreds of likes. It's like, oh, I am attractive. Oh, people might like what I got going on. And then, it's not always the right person who's going to be attracted to you that you're also going to be equally attracted to.
Yeah.
Increasing your ego a little bit is nice.
Yeah.
It's like putting on the right clothes, feeling good about yourself, and, just getting kind of cleaned up and, presenting the vibe that you really want to send. And you're walking through a busy street
Yeah.
in a busy, you do not have to have sex with everyone in the city.
Probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. Plus, those people are busy and they're doing other things. So, but you do want to go and figure out who is it that you want to connect with.
Yeah.
So once we boost an ego a little bit and go, I actually am very attractive, then we clarify the message. Like one of my clients, her profile said, and we'll use online, but if you want to talk organically in the wild, I can share how we help people with that too.
Yeah.
But
I like
online, what?
I said, I like the wild.
Yeah, I like the wild.
At some point, you've got to get there because, I mean, eventually, cuddles in online are not quite the same as in the wild.
Welcome to the pandemic. There was great ways to connect that way too, but as you were saying,
not the
in
same.
real life, we're really just trying to up level the relationship with
Less messy, but not the same.
Right. Oh my God. That's for sure. So, okay. I perceive online dating, it's actually a wonderful opportunity because here's a way to connect with people we wouldn't necessarily meet organically. It's a much wider reach.
Correct.
It's further than your network could help you with. So it's actually,
and the people there generally want a relationship as well. It's a hub to meet people that are looking for the same thing you are.
There's an assumed you are looking for the same thing. You do need to clarify that because you need to be on the same page, looking for the same thing. That's what makes a relationship really good. So what's up-leveling a relationship is based on communication, trust, and respect. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So online dating is a lot like junior high, I think.
Oh.
It's it's a place where people can make mistakes. We hope they learn from them. So that's happening, but it also means you can go out there and make mistakes too. And this is how we learn. So just cut some slack on that and just go and try it out.
Yeah.
So one client, she's a high-level business executive. She travels for business quite a bit. She stays in the nicest hotels. She eats at 5-star Michelin restaurants. She thinks nothing about spending $450 on a bottle of wine for dinner on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And her profile said, I like to travel, eat good food, and drink wine. Oh my God, is that your third grade What I Did Last Summer essay? Hi, you are so much more sophisticated than this.
Yeah.
The message that she's sending is not in line with who she is.
Yeah.
So she would get these dates because she's very attractive, and they would just hate each other because he would be upset that she was spending a bunch of money on cocktails or a bottle of wine, thinking, who are you? And she's saying, why don't you value what I value?
Yeah.
We up-leveled just the way her profile read to say something along the lines of, when I look at the wine menu, I am transported to the heated vineyards of Bordeaux.
Yeah.
So then the right person who could read, who did bother to read, who would say, ooh, she knows a good Bordeaux. Let's talk about that. It gave them a point of discussion and connection. And her boyfriend doesn't think anything about spending $450 on a bottle of wine on a Tuesday. And she appreciates it because they both appreciate really beautiful wines.
Yeah. So
those are the kinds of things that I help people with just in a very simple way. But the question, going back to where we were, so it's really representing yourself well. And then knowing the selection process of, if you can go through, even if we're just swiping online, if you know where you're at in your life and you know about who you're looking for, then you can see, okay, so just because this person works out and can hold a big fish and has a hat on and is doing a selfie in the bathroom, that may not be your person. But if they're also showing themselves, you know, I don't know, traveling in front of these big, tourist sites, and then also in small villages helping people. I have a client who lives in Madagascar,
Mm.
and she said, I'm not matchable. And boy, she's so in love right now. Oh, so um, because she wants to, her life is in the goodness and the
Mm.
philanthropy to mankind and animal kind.
Yeah.
And she's saying I'm not matchable. And I'm saying we need to find someone who loves doing something similar to what you're doing. And we
Yeah.
found.
Yeah.
So they're traveling the world together doing this.
Love it.
I love that one too.
Yeah.
So really, it's finding those types of similarities
Mm.
and then looking for someone who's about at the same point in your relationship cycle, the
Yeah.
line of your relationship arc, rather. And then asking open-ended questions about core values. So if you're really into family and staying locally,
Mm.
uh, faith, very focused on your career, those kinds of things.
Mm.
It's very different than somebody who's going to be very adventurous and who's living in the moment versus a
Mm.
long. So those are the kinds of questions that you can start to engage someone with.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, what is something ordinary you have never done?
Mm.
Oh, okay. That's that kind of question. Or what type of family traditions do you appreciate the most?
Mm.
Those are the kinds of questions that are open-ended, that invite someone to share their own core values with you.
Yeah.
Different than, hey, you're cute, which, you might get lucky and the cute might be enough. But really aligning the priorities
Mm.
connects you in a different way because you're having a shared experience. And that's what's so much fun by having a partner.
Yeah.
So then when you find someone who has these things in alignment, you up level that relationship
Mm-hmm.
and share experiences together. And, as you continue to have these shared experiences and communications, that builds trust. And over time, that's what
Mm.
builds respect to up level a relationship. And that will happen in real life once you've met, or you can meet someone organically in real life.
So this core values part you're talking about, because you mentioned with when you met your husband on the dance floor, um, well, at the table, and then he kissed you on the dance floor. He, but you said you had a lot of core values in line, and you used this statement, if I got this correctly, where did I write this? You were nothing alike, but you had everything in common. Do you want to expand on that? Because
Sure.
that's a really, I think, all the people that I know that have really successful well, I would consider successful long-term marriages, relationships. When they talk about finding that right person, they talk about that they were looking for character traits. That's what
Yep.
they were looking for. Do you want to talk about this, where you were nothing alike, but you had everything in common?
Right. So I was a portfolio manager at the time,
Mm.
and I was, dating people in high level finance roles,
Yeah.
traveling internationally to meet with clientele, this sort of
Mm.
thing. And that's where I was at in my life.
Yeah.
And I would say that my late husband was a 25-year-old Thrasher skateboard dude. Did not look the part.
Yeah.
So I really needed to go. He was a
Yeah.
very good looking man, but
Yeah.
I needed to go deeper and go, who are you in there?
Yeah.
Um, so at the dinner table, what he was discovering about me is, my life experience, my skill set,
Mm.
my intellect, how I spend my free time, how I enjoy my free time. He wanted to be with someone whose parents were still in love with one another. That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I happen to have that gift.
Mm.
Um, what else did he? I'm trying to think of just authentically what his things were.
It sounds like he was pretty clear about working out what he wanted in a relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. Very, we're both very family oriented. I don't really remember what questions he was asking at the dinner
Mm.
table that he
Yeah.
figured all of this out, but
Mm.
those were some of the things.
Yeah.
And similarly, so we really, different faith backgrounds, different family, different geography, different life experiences growing up.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying. We really had little in common in that
Yeah.
way. This is why opposites can attract,
Yeah.
and it'll still work when you're still looking to go on a journey in the same direction.
But you said
Uh,
you had everything in common. Is it when you were talking about that from a core value perspective?
yeah, we were at the same point in our lives. We wanted to be monogamous, have a partner who would stand by us no matter what. And
Mm.
we definitely did that. If you want to talk about parenting, we would always say, we would back up what the other person said, and no matter what it was.
It's
We
hard
were a
sometimes, but it's so important to do that, to have a
unified
unanimous.
front.
Yeah.
And then we'd like get home and go, but we were never
Quiet room
going
is where you do that. Sometimes soundproof room.
right. Yeah, that was what the car was for. The doors would shut and go, what was really happening there? Because I backed you up, but really? But being a unified front was definitely, that we did that for each other. It was the two of us pillow talk against the world. No
Yeah.
matter what challenges we shared, it was just easy. The communication was clear. We both knew we wanted the same things in life. When it was time to get married, we knew it was time. We didn't rush anything.
Mm.
When it was time to have children, we were literally sitting down watching the Goodyear tire commercial with that big baby in it, going, "Oh,
Mm.
we should have kids." Yep, yep, yep. And to be there, I was taking the pill at the time, and I said, there's no way I'm going to trick you into bringing a new human into the world. So I put the dispenser on the counter just above the garbage. And
Yeah.
I said, when you're ready, you need to take one small action, and that is
Yeah.
to pick this up and throw it away.
Yeah.
That made a difference because he then made the effort as much as I did to say,
Yeah.
we're ready
I
for
love
this.
that. That's awesome.
And so that's, then we had our son,
Mm.
and he was about one. I think
Mm.
it was at his first birthday party, which of course is for the adults. And my late husband turns to our beautiful 1-year-old baby boy and he says, "Go play with your sister." "Oh, you don't have one. I'll make you one." And he invites me. There's 70 people in our house, and he invites me, to have a little rendezvous. He does the fatherly deed, and he says, "You're pregnant. It's a girl." I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then we had Rachel. So he was right. I mean, I don't know how G-rated this audience is, but then he goes later, he goes, "I've seen what I put in there, and I've seen what we got out. Can I put a Matchbox car in there?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." It was great because we were on the same page.
Yeah.
And we really wanted the same things together. There was so much respect for one another,
Mm.
and that's what made the relationship just so electric, so good that people could see it from thousands of miles away. And that we were there with and for one another. And that was true even at 39 when he was diagnosed with cancer and then was on hospice and passing away. His dying words were, "I love you."
Wow.
This was a good life, well lived. It was
Mm.
just not as long as we'd hoped it would be.
Yeah.
And in all fairness, he lived a full and happy life. I miss him every day. I will
Yeah.
miss him until he's not dead anymore.
Yeah.
And I also acknowledge the value that he's brought into my life and the children's lives. And people still tell me. I ran into someone on an airplane recently, and she was saying, when I see Corvettes, I think of him. It's like he says, because he impacted people's lives in a positive way far beyond what I imagined the reach to be. And we each do that. We
Mm.
just don't always know. So now I've used those same skills
Mm.
and I have found a new love,
Yeah.
and he is perfect for who I am and where I am now in my life. And he's not only in love with me, he's in love with my two quirky kids and the dog who is the best of us.
Yeah.
And he's not anything like my late husband.
Mm.
It wouldn't work. It
Yeah.
wouldn't work to have that again.
Yeah.
So this is the right fit for who I am now and the values we have. And so, my kids are not baggage. He sees them as opportunity to participate in co-parenting young adults that he never got this opportunity.
Mm.
So finding someone to fill that gap for each other is what's so gorgeous about this love.
Yeah. Is it as simple as that though, to find that want someone to fill the gap? Is it as simple as is being yourself and being okay with being yourself?
Simple is not simple. It is that simple.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
this is,
hard for
I wonder
anyone
about
to
this. Sorry, go ahead.
it's hard for anyone to believe me until I help get them there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I coach, and it's people return to their factory setting, I call it,
Mm.
because they're trying to please
What's
their
factory
parents.
setting?
Yeah, they're who they used to be. So I
Ah.
help them say, you know what, this is, who are you now? Who
Yeah.
do you want to be? And then they'll be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then I just let him make all the decisions. It's like, wait, do you really want to be a person in a relationship who submits to someone else making all the decisions?
Mm.
But I don't know how to advocate for myself. So I help them trust themselves in intimate relationships, learn how to navigate obstacles, and also advocate for themselves in relationships in a way that will bring them closer in a partnership, even if they're fearing that if they bring a difficult or hard topic up, they're worried they'll lose the relationship entirely. So
Yeah.
you take the fear of that out,
Mhm.
and then you get security that fills in, and
Mhm.
confidence. And when you feel secure and confident in a relationship, oh,
Yeah.
people can see it. And it gives you confidence to this nice firm platform to reach further and be more than who you are. It's so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. But if you don't know that feeling and you never had a role model for that feeling, or if you have
Mhm.
an anxious or an avoidant attachment style, it's very difficult to suddenly have a secure attachment style and be confident in the relationship that you're in and with
Mm.
the understanding of how to navigate things. Um, I don't know which story, how, I don't know about can your audience handle it?
I think they can handle it. I'll put a disclaimer
Okay,
at the start that this is for relationship people.
okay, okay. So it was interesting. In 1 week, I had two clients come to me and they said, master dater. I'm like, what are you calling me? Don't say that too fast. As long as everyone's satisfied, I'm fine. But they were like, I need the 3 easy steps to get through a challenging conversation with my partner, and in one case, my husband or their husband.
Mm.
Um, they each needed to bring up something that was potentially relationship ending, and neither wanted to lose their relationship or their marriage.
Right.
Um, so this boyfriend girlfriend situation, it was a really good match, but they had a lot to connect on to ensure that it was going to work. And navigating obstacles is not
Mm.
always straightforward, and we tend to get defensive, or we refer back to some experience we've had in the past, and then we respond to what happened then rather than what's happening in front of us.
Yeah.
And so it really, we fight, flight, freeze
Yeah.
rather than make connection.
Mm.
So having somebody as a guide who has a secure attachment style, who's not, emotionally involved in it is actually really helpful in a situation like this.
Mm.
So in both cases, I said, here are the 3 easy steps. If you follow these 3 easy steps, just as I've said, not
Mm-hmm.
only will you not break up, you're going to be closer than ever, and you're going to have great sex tonight.
Mm.
And they were both skeptical. But the first one called the next day, and she said, I followed the 3 easy steps exactly as you said. We not only did not break up, but we had great sex. Thank you so much. Because in my mind, sex is a high level communication in an shared intimate experience. So when you understand the communication skills yourself and your partner, it just gets better and better.
Correct. Yeah,
So
I agree with that. Yeah.
with the second client, she hired me. She said, where were you 30 years ago? I would not have married the man I married. It was 15 years of suffering and 3 boys later. Now she is married to the man she wants to be married with. She hired me because she doesn't want to mess it up.
Mm.
And I'm helping her rebuild the relationship with her children.
Yeah.
So here it is. It's a potentially relationship ending conversation. She's right. It does need to be brought up, but navigating how to present that was going to determine success or failure.
Yeah.
So I gave her the 3 easy steps.
Mm.
She didn't call me the next day. She didn't call me the following day.
Yeah.
On the 3rd day, she called and she said, I followed the 3 easy steps exactly like you told me. And we've been having sex for 3 days. I'm sorry I couldn't call you before now. Like, right on.
I love it.
I know. The communication
Must have been cold as well. Good way to keep warm.
Probably right. It was great. It was great. You never know what is keeping someone from having this wonderful experience, but being able to navigate difficult conversations makes it so that difficult and hard conversations are not taboo.
Mm.
And you can trust someone with the difficult and hard stuff. That's the person you want to be with.
And is that the part that is, what makes the difference? Because you're talking about the 3 easy steps of communication, and I'll allow you to share those if you wish to share them. But is it because, and I really relate to what you're saying about sex. It is a culmination of everything together that's expressed in a beautiful way. I'm butchering that, but that's everything else needs to be there. If you have great communication and you connect, not just from verbal communication, but you have great communication, that's physical communication and everything that goes with that, then sex is going to be amazing, in my mind, anyway. And is it as again? I'm coming back to these simple things. To me, I find life is pretty simple from my experience. We make it complicated by doing all these different things that we don't need to. But if we come back to going with the communication side of things, is part of it is listening to what the other person is really listening. Most of the times we don't listen, even though we think we are. Do we? Is it really as simple as that? And I know I'm repeating simple a number of times, but it seems to me life is simple, and relationships, again, is simple. You do a couple of 3 easy steps and you're having great sex. Is it that simple?
It's that simple when you do it right.
Yeah. Yes.
Not at all simple when you do it wrong. Then it gets difficult. Or if you're too much in your head, or too much only in your body, or too much only in your emotions, then it's not simple. Because all right, I'm going to go a little deep on you here. Ready?
Yep.
So in my vision of things, we are born into this world. I wish I could have the wisdom of the womb, but I can't understand that language yet. But we're born into this life.
Yeah.
And there are 7 things that we need to keep in homeostasis, to keep content, to keep, dare I say, happy.
Yeah.
Those are basic needs. So it's hunger, thirst, if you're too tired, if you're hurt, if you need stimulation, regulating your temperature, and you need love. There they are. That's all you need. Super simple, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's not always simple to keep those things in balance. And we come into this world and we are unable to keep those things in balance on our own.
Yeah.
So we learn very quickly to reach out for help to figure out what is wrong and can you get me back to this contented status, this happiness, this homeostasis, this balance. And we can figure that out by crying or whatever it's going to take, by smiling, by cooing, by saying, hey, I'm awake, or grr, I'm cold. And we learn to communicate with our caretakers and we learn how to fit in our tribe, our family, our community. And so as we continue to grow, we learn how to fit in as well as how to stand out.
Yeah.
We still need to rely on figuring out how to take care of these 7 things. And then what happens beyond that is we learn where we fit in the social hierarchy of our community, our tribe, our family, or group, or whatever it is. And when you start to determine that, what's happening is we're outsourcing the responsibility of taking care of those 7 things.
Yeah.
And at some point, we'd like to believe that we can rely on ourselves for those things so that we're no longer outsourcing our happiness to others.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to learn because oftentimes we like to put the responsibility on someone else as to why we are not happy. But in reality, it's up to us.
It's the majority of the time, isn't it? For a lot of people.
Look at you, all coy.
I'm laughing because I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm so relating to it in the sense of I really see it all the time where life is really simple if you do this, but if you take, and that's what Share.care's first rule or first principle is responsibility, personal responsibility. And it sounds like, listening to what you're talking about, I've written down here self-awareness. To have what you want in life, firstly, you've got to be aware of who you are and what's going on. If you're feeling a little bit hungry, getting those 7 things in balance, you go, well, actually, I'm really, really hungry. I've got a bit of love here. I've got, these other things, but I need to eat. So you go, if you're paying it, if you don't, and obviously that's a key driver. Hunger's a key driver. Love is one that I'm holding up 10, so obviously I went to maths.
You've got a couple more, that's all.
But the love one seems to be one that we kind of let go out of balance for a variety of different reasons. But if we paid attention, if we were self-aware and went, hey, this is what's like you did with your relationship, these are my core values, this is what's important to me. Yes, I'm getting that. And we're, as you were standing by each other, that was something that was important for both of you. And the person might have said something really stupid at parent-teacher interview, and you've just gone, okay, I'll back that. But when we get out here, I'm going to have some. But you've had that connection. And again, it seems to be as simple as that. If you have chosen to be with that person, and because you like them, and they like you, then again comes back to that communication of how you communicate with the three easy steps.
Right.
That kind of thing. So am I missing something?
Well, there can be so much more, but you've got it. So the love thing you're saying may be out of whack, but there's reasons that happens. I call it the politics on the playground, for example.
Okay.
And popular, like the popular kid, if that kid's popular, it's because they're diplomatic and they actually care about other people as well as themselves. And we all know that's not always what we call popular on the playground.
No.
So really popular, oftentimes, more often than not, unfortunately, is powerful. And the powerful person on the playground or at work or in your community or in your family or your sibling or whoever, this person is manipulating the situation with other types of power, not influence or reference, or it might be through fear that if you don't do what they want you to do, or if you don't conform to whatever ridiculous norm they're asking, you may be the next target. So there's so many ways to skew what's going on. in interpersonal relationships.
But often that
And
person is bumped off at some point. If we're looking through history, I mean, Roman times is a good, example where you had this ruler that, dictator that came in. Even Julius Caesar, was renowned as a great leader, but he was stabbed in the back how many times by his own people because he went too far the
okay,
other
but
way.
how much power and influence did he have between
Yeah.
that time? So there's still a lot of people he affected.
That's why I'm drawing the comparison between you have the popular playground dynamic, but it seems to not last. Whereas someone that has that, as you say, that
True.
politics and good skill lasts longer. That's the point more I was getting with.
Yes, I totally agree with you. Somebody who is diplomatic in that way
Mm.
will have an easier time in life because they're not coercing for
Mm.
power.
Yeah.
They're inviting and treating and attracting and building other people up. And that builds a relationship that's positive. It's full of carefree love and laughter where you can the kind where you can throw your head back and really enjoy someone and know that they will support you and you would be happy to support them.
Yeah.
So those are I actually have an advisory board I help people build with different categories of who are your emotional support, your subject matter experts, people who would leverage their position for your success, and accountability partners. So those are the kinds of partners that you want to invite in.
Yeah.
But you were referring back to how do we miss out on love? Because we didn't have role models for relationships. Because, our parents didn't show us the way. Our siblings were competitive because that's what siblings do. Or our friends didn't show us, there may have been a backstabbing or, going out with the person you liked or whatever. So the disconnect there. So those are the things that suddenly push us out of alignment, making us feel like, oh, am I not enough? Or someone saying, you're not enough. Or the other biggie is someone trying to prove they are lovable. And somebody who's in that position will say they're going to be in a monogamous or a partnership relationship, and then they will leave it because they need more proof that they're lovable. And that's an endless cycle. But those are the reasons that people would feel the way that they do. And the other is we bring in information through our senses. This is kind of what we were talking about in the green room with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, where these artists are sharing their life story through music and the vibration and this auditory sensory experience. And it can literally change who you are by sharing this message through music. And that's how, you've got this brilliant brain. You bring in data through your senses. And they create, your brain is going to interpret those data points as some sort of emotion. And then you connect with your previous life experience and go, okay, well, when I was in this situation before, this is what happened. And then that's going to create a feeling. So it could be a feeling of fear that you might run into a relationship that was not good. So then you have a reticence to get into a relationship, even though you want one. You want a healthy one, but it didn't work before. So if this is too good to be true, it's probably not true because of previous experience. And so, sometimes I'm a person who can say, this is a new person in a new set of parameters, and they're not treating you the way that this other person did. This is not the same situation. Give this opportunity a chance to grow. But we return, as I was saying previously, to our factory setting, I call it.
I like that.
That's where we get that from. Because, this experience suggests that with all of this information, what happened before could happen again. And so I don't want to go there. But in reality, you do. You want to go there knowing with confidence that you're safe and you are seen and heard in a healthy partnership.
Yeah. Is it as simple as looking forward? I mean, I often wonder about that from my perspective, going, do we need to go through this regression therapy and all this kind of thing? Or can we go, okay, I want that. That's what I want. And that's my focus. And what happened in the past is gone. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to focus there. Can it be that simple?
I don't think it's possible because you have life experience. Just like I said,
Mm,
there's no way to just reject all of what we've known in the past. I have worked with, like, there's something called widow brain,
right. Okay.
whereas we'll compartmentalize or any
Mm,
trauma.
mhm.
I worked with a client who she had to pull the plug on her husband. He was in an accident.
Oh, yeah.
That created such a trauma for her that she basically forgot everything. She couldn't
Mm,
make decisions. She couldn't, it was like she, her brain had compartmentalized and
yeah.
protected that
Okay.
because it was so difficult.
But that's a real extreme, though.
Oof. Well, that's why
Like,
it was a good.
yeah. It's very extreme. I mean, obviously, that's created a whole bunch of emotional things to which have set in like really difficult barriers to overcome. Yeah.
Right. So what we needed to do was to remind her that she is safe now
Mm,
and that the relationship and his life mattered
yeah.
and what she can honor, treasure and honor, including the
Yeah.
family they built together, and
Right.
know that that can bring her forward. And
Mm,
as we worked together, she got her memory back and she felt safe enough to acknowledge all of what had transpired and move forward in her life. Okay, here's another one.
yeah. Well, just go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. That's
No, I was
your
just going to say because the part that you said there that stood out was the treasure and honor part. And it sounds like, and that's been kind of consistent in what you were talking about. As soon as you accept that this was a wonderful thing, to allow the hurt with it to go, however you do that. But as soon as you go, hey, this was. You talk about your husband's relationship, with you had this wonderful relationship. He went too early from that stand, but you've gone, well, we still had this wonderful relationship, and that's your focus. Whereas the trauma might come about with going, well, why did he have to go too early? And if you're focusing on that, creates more trauma. And similar to the lady you mentioned before about, the husband started dating someone and moving in, and she's starting to get jealous. But as soon as she accepted that relationship was okay, then she could move forward. Is that the trigger that needs to happen?
In some ways, yes.
Yeah.
However, we can have more than one emotion at a time.
Yeah.
I'll share my own experience. I'm so proud of, yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm so proud of my children,
Yeah.
all of the things that they accomplish. And at the same moment, I'm devastated that they don't have their father and that he doesn't get to be there and see that and experience that
Yeah.
is very, very real.
Mm.
So we can, so is that a bittersweet? It's a, I'm so, I mean, that's a
Yeah.
real example. It's all the emotions at once,
Yeah.
but for me to sit, as you're pointing out, in
Mm.
the loss and of what he can't do anymore,
Mm.
it doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore. He's not here to experience it. So
Mm.
the children, my they know their father is proud of them. Not everyone is invited with intention into this world like my kids.
Yes.
Um, but I remind them of that.
Yeah.
You welcomed into this world with intention, with love, on purpose.
Mm.
And I love you. I'm here for you. I get the opportunity to see the world through your eyes. What a gift for me.
Mm.
And that your father got so much of that. And his life was fulfilled by inviting these two children in. So,
Mm.
the package, you can tell a story any way you want.
Yeah.
I choose to accept all of my emotions.
Yeah.
Usually it comes out in like the same kind of tears. I wish tears could come out like in Skittles, sparkly colors that when I'm really happy.
Yeah.
Uh, or, it's like, I don't know what color those would have been of how come he doesn't get to see this too.
Yeah.
And what we did was we wrote loving letters before he passed.
Right.
So I have these letters to give to the children when they graduated elementary school, junior high, high school, when they got licenses for their cars, when they were really mad at me when they were in love the first time, when their hearts were broken,
Yeah.
when at their bar and bat mitzvahs, he wrote these speeches. There was not a dry eye in the place, and he was funny, as you know.
Yeah.
And so they're laughing, going, so all of those emotions are happening at once, where here, this is so fun and funny, and but he's not here to read this story, but I am.
Yeah.
So, the letters go on to when you find the right person on your wedding day, when your mother joins me. So they've got these letters to open from him.
Yeah.
So his legacy is shared in that way, and they know that it's there. So you can have all the emotions at once. It's just which ones are going to be higher on the, which ones are going to come out as tears or not. I never wanted to be the widow wearing black with the veil crying sad auntie in the back of the room my whole life. I just couldn't live like that. It's not a life worth living, but this is.
Yeah.
That's an intentional choice. And to invite a partner in to share that is so worth it. Life is better with good love in it.
Yeah.
I had it, and I know I have it again, because you could have more than one love in your life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really love that. Thank you for sharing at that level as well, because that was very, very deep. From that, well, it was, and no, I'm honored that you've opened that door. It was like, thank you. To to create that. But it sounds like from your perspective that there's a consistent theme that is running through this. Is one was knowing yourself, two having that courage to ask, and that confidence in it to put yourself out there and go, okay, let's find out, ask those open-ended questions and find out, but be clear about it before you do that. Be clear about what it is that you want, and that's the work that you're doing with the people that you're working with. So, do you want to take us through the work that you're currently doing and how people can contact you and share with the audience the 3 easy steps?
The 3 easy steps. The 3 easy steps. They sound so good. All right. The easiest way to connect with me is to go to theartofrelationshipping.com. Theartofrelationshipping.com. And you can find free resources there, as well as ways to, schedule time with me. And to any of your listeners, I'm happy to help them build a relationship strategy and see how I can help them. Some of the work that I'm doing now is really helping people understand the relationship cycle and who they are in life and what they want their life to be, because you only have one precious life. Yeah. Do you really have a guide to make sure you're living it fully? And a clear signal that you might reach out to somebody like me would be something like you find yourself running into the same relationship challenges. Yes. And you don't know how to change that cycle, but you want something different than what you have. I will ask everyone, do you want this change? Do you believe you can make this change? Do you believe I'm the person to help you make this change? And then I'm going to ask, if we choose to work together, how might you sabotage our work? Because I want to know how I can support you. Yeah. So the program that I have, and I've got 2 books that my publisher hasn't yet published, but they're on deck, and then a 3rd one in the works. So I've got Life Worth Living. I have New Management Blueprint, which I wrote because all the people that I helped in their career tracking were like, that's amazing. You wrote this incredible book. When are you going to write the one we've been asking you to write? So this is a love letter to them. This is professional relationships. Yeah. And the most recent books that are really only available through me right now, but soon they'll be on Amazon, are Find Love Now, the a guide to attract true love to you. And then Find Love Now, Simple Steps to Develop an Online Profile that really works. So those two are available, but only through me, through a link right now. But the program that I've got is super fun. And so it is actually simple. Simple might not be simple until you have a guide to, show you the steps through it. Just like if you want to learn a skill, you hire a teacher or a coach, if you whatever it is. So this is what I've done. I've made relationshiping straightforward, easy, and fun. And so I've got, a whole program set up that I help guide people through. And that could be done on your own. And it's very informative in that way. And if you're someone who can self-learn, then that's perfect. But if you need a higher level and you actually need a high touch with the coaching, then I meet with people once a week. They've got the videos. That's the consistent coaching that I found I was repeating myself over and over again on all my calls. So here, that way I'm not missing anything.
Yeah.
Got the recorded coaching, and then we really go deep and customize what is right for you based on what's going on with you right now. So that when you dive into the dating pool, you're relationship ready, and you can identify other people who are relationship ready as opposed to someone who may drag you down with them.
Yeah.
Because that's no fun. You really want someone to partner with in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So I do meet with people one-on-one. I coach personally. I've also got a group, and only people in the Behind the Red Velvet Ropes VIP group are invited into this group session.
Yeah.
And what happens in the group is so beautiful because you get an idea of where people are at in each chapter of their life and love story, and you can watch the progression.
Yeah.
And then when you become the person with your partner who you're walking on air, cotton candy, feel like a goddess, know you hit the jackpot with your partner, then you look at the new people walking in and you can reflect back and go, oh my God, I have grown so much. And the new people grow exponentially because they can see how it's done from other people.
Yeah.
So it's such a wonderful program. It's such a gift that I get to have my clients calling and contacting and texting and emailing me going, oh, I am so happy. This is the first time I've really felt what in love feels like.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm like, you never need to lose that. Once you got it, you got it. So I feel really fortunate that I get to be the catalyst for other people to find love. It's such a good gig.
I love that. But it is, as you say, it's a skill. Most of us haven't had great examples when we were growing up or as an adult. So to have that instruction manual that you've made, it's more than an instruction manual, but you've set out how to do this. You've put it in a practical and fun way. This is how you do relationships. This is the art of relationshiping, and I love how you've brought that together for everyone. So it's fantastic. So we've got all the details in the show notes for everybody to reach you and contact and learn these skills. Before we go though, do you want to leave the audience? That's my Australian accent kicking in there. Would you like to share some of your key wisdoms or wisdom with the audience? What would you like the audience, if they could take something away, what would it be? One or whatever you feel that they should take away.
I think the most important thing to remember is that all relationships follow the same process, from chemistry to casual to committed. And when you show intention and you're sending, like if you're on a deserted island and it's the greatest island in the world and you're happy there's plenty of fish, there's plenty of coconuts, the weather's great. But at some point you want to share your life experience with someone, and you get the big idea to put a message in a bottle to send it out to sea. And voila, you see that a message in a bottle has come back to you, and you open it up. You want that message back to you to reflect the message that you were intending. because that's who you want to invite into your island.
Yeah.
And so to do that, it's really important to know who you are right now in your life and who you'd like to project and the vibe you'd like to project so that you're inviting in the right person to you to really enjoy life. And it's not work to
Yeah.
enjoy a partner when you're in alignment, wanting to support one another and you're sharing common values and goals. Those are far more enduring than, oh, well, they were geographically desirable, or, she was cute, he was hot. That is something, and you might get lucky that everything else is in alignment. But putting that foundation in place, even if you're already in a relationship, really shows so much respect and intention in the relationship
Mm.
that it does create for a long enduring love.
Yeah. That's so. I love that. Love that so much, Michelle Hoffmann. It has been absolutely wonderful and fabulous having you on the show. Thank you again for opening up and sharing some really deep emotion there as well. And most of all, thank you for the wonderful insights that you've shared on in how to create and attract an amazing relationship.
Thank you so much for having me, Damien. What a pleasure. I wish you a life of good love.
Thank you for being part of the Share.care community and helping people around the world prosper. You're creating a bigger pie for everyone to share. The more people contributing to the world being a better place, the better the world becomes for others and for you.